the poor state of entertainment in this country, entertainment across the board, is because we have got a bunch of idiot producers. Sorry. That's the only reason why we are producing shit year after year for 100 years now. We've been producing shit and reveling in it.
It's an extremely sad case to see the way Indian television content has deteriorated in this country. How did we go from Tara, a progressive show on the trials and tribulations of an urban woman and her friends, to Sasural Simarka, an over-the-top 2000 episode series of the perfect daughter-in-law that transforms into a mosquito to create havoc in households? How did we end up here? TV programming started in the early 1980s, with the biggest broadcast channel being Doordarshan, which also came under the purview of the government. The 80s era was when the most popular shows showcased on television included Ramayan, Mahabharata, and shows that developed national pride, including Bunyad and Fauji. This was still the time where there was a monopoly in the Indian television market regarding content, and the consumer base was still restricted to a privileged section of society, where access to television units had still not penetrated to the masses. So the broadcasting restricted to Doordarshan under the government order would still be catered towards a combination of family values through Indian history and mythology, life lessons through short stories, and inspiring the youth to join the armed forces by showcasing the sacrifices of our brave soldiers. The outlier only being the comedic masterpiece that was the Jaspal Bhatti show called Flop Show that released in 1989, a satire on the socio-political challenges of the middle class in India, still far superior in content compared to the plethora of shows available on television today.
Sir, dear खुशीराम?
हाँ, मेरे ख्याल डियर नहीं होना चाहिए, आखिर हम उसे सस्पेंड कर रहे हैं, तो आप लिखें We are pleased to inform you that you are hereby suspended with immediate effect.
Everything changed, however, at least for a decade after the 1991 liberalization policy. There was a lot of enterprise and competition that entered into the market regarding television broadcasting. This led to an increase in the number of broadcasting channels, which would thereon increase the investment of advertising, as there were many more avenues which would guarantee eyeballs other than Doordarshan. With the increase in competition and players in the game including Zee, DD2, Sony and channels like Star, the content on these channels beyond the news was catering to an extremely metropolitan and urban audience. It's important to note that in 1992, it was registered that in India, there were 1.2 million TV homes compared to 168 million in 2014, according to KPMG. As the producers and content creators knew the audience they were presenting shows to, absolute gold mines were created that are still relevant and in many ways stand the test of time even today. Hazratein, a show that shed light on how women have wants and needs beyond raising children in a marriage. Just Mohabbat and Hip Hip Hooray, that accurately depicted all the range of emotions that preteens and adolescents experience, especially with respect to interactions with the opposite sex, friendships, fighting one's inner turmoil deeply embedded due to childhood experiences, and most importantly, finding oneself. Saas, a powerful and compelling serial on the complexity of a wife dealing with an extramarital affair, both starring as well as directed by Neena Gupta, stayed on for 179 episodes. We had wholesome and genuinely hilarious comedies in the form of Dekh Bhai Dekh and Filmi Chakkar, shows that didn't resort to crass and sexist humor but built on the relationships of the characters that it focused on. You had powerful stories of the defense forces in the form of R. Rohan and Seahawks that showcased aspirational men and women for the youth of the country, individuals that break the mold of social conventions, in direct contrast to what we are inundated with today, how to be the perfect bahu.
आज से आप लोग कैडेट्स नहीं बल्कि सब लेफ्टिनेंट्स कहलाए जाएंगे.
You know what was also the most fascinating part about the shows in the 90s and the reason for its superior quality? Directors like Anurag Kashyap, Imtiaz Ali, Sriram Raghavan, all were actively working in Indian television. One of the main reasons also for the superior quality of the shows were the dispersed nature in which they were presented, mostly presented once a week compared to the assembly line structure we have today, which presents 3 to 4 episodes a week. The quality, therefore, has significantly declined with respect to writing in these shows, as the material has to be churned out on such a recurring basis. This is one of the main reasons why the shows today zoom into hundreds of characters as each dialogue is delivered, with thunder striking in order to buy time till the next episode airs. It's truly transformed into a quantity over quality machine.
जो अभी ऐसे हैं कि पहचानते हैं आप बड़की हैं सबका एक ही सवाल है। तो आपके जमाने में क्या सीमा जी सीरियल आते थे, ये होता था, अभी क्यों नहीं होता है? क्या आप बकवास देख रहे हैं? इसका रिश्ता उससे, उसका रिश्ता उससे, तो ऑडियंस भी दुखी है।
But what was the game changer? What led to the creation of this regressive Saas Bahu and reality television ecosystem that is prevalent and thriving today? We so easily point out the social evils presented by movies in the Hindi film industry, but completely discount the detrimental effects Indian TV serials have in our own households. The game changer that is the reason for the state of content on Indian television were two things. One, the launch of Kaun Banega Crorepati with Amitabh Bachchan in 2000, and the one producer that capitalized on the influx of advertising and the biggest demographic that has televisions functioning on loop throughout the day. Housewives.
एकता कपूर कितना पावरफुल मतलब इंडियन कल्चरल इम्पैक्ट एकता कपूर का इतना हाई। समटाइम्स आई फील लाइक एकता कपूर अगर थोड़ा भी प्रोग्रेसिव होती ना तो ऐसा हम अमेरिका में होता अभी ऐसा रोड भी अमेजिंग होता ना।
Not only did Kaun Banega Crorepati revitalize the career of Amitabh Bachchan as everyone tuned in to 9 p.m. to listen to Deviyo or Sajjano, it also led to several Bollywood celebrities trying to mimic the same model with other game and reality TV shows, some with a lot of success that is still ongoing and some with not so much. But due to the massive influx of advertising and viewership with KBC, Ekta Kapoor on Star thought of capitalizing on the biggest demographic that views Indian television by introducing her K serials in the same year and date, which included Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi and Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki. The TV serials would usually be about large joint families and the daily social problems that women have to face. A complete 180-degree turn from what the 90s represented. From outliers and ambitious women, we were subjected to accepting the reality that bounds women inside the four walls of their homes.
When you're watching television, you don't want anything that is shocking. It's like it has to be very vanilla.
What happens when a product is successful and there is competition? Other channels try to mimic the same formula. The mid-2000s and beyond that saw the degradation of quality content in Indian television and the transformation of various channels into this homogeneous ecosystem. Music channels became less about music and more about reality television. Where these reality shows were initially aspirational for the youth, it's truly jaw-dropping to see what Roadie Season 1 started as and what it has become now. Reality TV is this crass avenue of sensationalism that has had a deteriorating effect on what the youth aspires to become in this nation. There was a time where MTV was known for Nikhil Chinnappa's Playlists, a carefree and hilarious show with Cyrus Brocha, which was MTV Bakra. VJs we generally felt like were our voices on television, a representation of the soul and voice of the youth. This is not me as a 90s kid ranting about Hamara time alag tha. It's just an honest assessment of the soulless nature of most Indian channels on television today. Whenever a product is driven solely for the purpose of TRP and people pleasing and not for telling stories and presenting something unique, you know there is going to be a huge decline in the quality of content. The reason why Nora Fatahi dances on remix songs every year is because there is a demand for it. The reason why Varun Dhawan does a Judwa 2 is because there is a callback value and the movie does over 200 crores. The reason why the same Saas Bahu formula, even with its revolutionary angle of Nagins and Chudails today works, is because the same content has been so deeply embedded with Indian households today that any drift to try something new is destined for failure. When Yashraj tried its compelling shows in the form of Powder and Mahive that attempted to change what Indian audiences could see on television, their failure was a clear indication that only the viewer will decide what shows will work and thrive through the decisions they take with their remote control.
इन्होंने एक शो किया था पाउडर 10 साल पहले। आज भी इट वाज वन ऑफ द फाइनेस्ट शोज मेड ऑन टेलीविजन। वो शो नहीं चला, वो चला ही नहीं शो। मेरा ये मानना है, मैं वही कह रहा था कि जब तक हम नहीं बदलेंगे, हम वो लोग हैं लाल बत्ती पे रुकते हैं तो पीछे से हॉर्न मारते हैं। ज़ीब्रा क्रॉसिंग हमको डिजाइन लगता है, ग्राफिटी लगता है। The change begins within yourself.
We forget, however, the power that producers like Ekta Kapoor hold in actually changing or bringing about a revolution in the television industry and how it can lead to such transformative impact with Indian society. After years of regressive and toxic content in the form of serials and reality television, the digital revolution has been a breath of fresh air. One thing's for sure, and I don't care about sounding like an old hag when I say this, nothing today on television can match the quality, nuance, and impact of the shows in the 90s. As Robin Sharma says, the antidote of stagnation is innovation, a feature completely absent from Indian television. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you have some video ideas for our channel. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.